Thank you for saying nothing. There's all six, isn't it? Right. Six. So you tell me. Hmm? Like 6 papers.
Need 1 second.
Okay, I guess it's time to start. I'd like to thank everyone for attending the Committee of Adjustment meeting. I'd like to remind everyone as we get underway, this meeting is in person and online through Zoom and is being recorded. Everyone online will be muted with the exception of the committee members and staff. All comments and questions are to be directed through the chair from committee members, staff, and public. I'd like to remind the committee members that you must speak into the microphone so everyone online in person can hear you. And for those attendees that are online, your video picture will not be displayed and you will be muted and will not be able to unmute yourself during an application that you have not requested to attend unless you raise your hand. At the beginning of each application, I will call the application forward. The owner or applicant in attendance may come to the table to your right to speak to the committee. This microphone is live and you must speak into the microphone. If the owner or applicant is online, you will be unmuted. The committee will ask for comments from the public during each application. Please provide your name and address for the public record. All comments and questions should be directed to the chair and only speak when it is your turn. If you're in person and would like to speak to an application one at a time, you may approach the podium and speak. This microphone will be live also. If you're in the video portion of the Zoom meeting and you'd like to speak and your microphone is muted, please click on the raise hand button located on the bottom of your screen. Staff will notify me that you wish to speak. If you're attending the meeting by telephone and you wish to speak, please dial *9 to raise your hand, which will signal staff that you wish to speak. Once a decision has been made concerning your application, you're welcome to leave the hearing while the committee continues to the next application. Members in attendance today are Bruce Craig, Catherine Graham, Paul Veenstra, Todd Robertson, and myself, Jim Keogh. Our staff in attendance are Senior Planner Lindsay Lambert, Planner Kyle Peel, and Secretary Treasurer Amanda Warner McKellar. So first on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda for today's meeting. Any committee members have anything they wish to add or any changes?
I have none.
No.
No.
None here.
Nor do I. So I need a mover and a seconder to accept the agenda.
Bruce.
Moved by Catherine.
Second.
Seconded
Bruce.
by Bruce. All in favor? Oh, I better say. Moved by Catherine, seconded by Bruce, that the agenda be adopted as circulated. All in favor?
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes.
Yes.
Todd, yes.
And I am also carried. The second item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes from the February 27th, 2024 meeting. Any committee members, any changes or suggestions?
None,
Bruce?
none here.
No.
No.
None on my end.
Nor do I. Yep. A mover and a seconder to accept them, please.
I'll move.
Moved by
Second.
Paul, seconded by Todd. All in favor? Oh, yes. It's been moved by Paul, seconded by Todd. The minutes of the February 27th, 2024 meeting of the Committee of Adjustment be adopted as circulated. All in favor?
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes.
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 And I am also carried. Any members with any pecuniary interest or interest of any other kind in this that they wish to speak to?
Bruce, I have none.
Catherine has none.
No.
None for Todd.
Nope, neither do I. So. So first on our agenda today is D13-2024 005-957 Burma Lane. Amanda, is the applicant here or in person?
Yes, if you just want to come to the right of the table, if you're here for the application. And I will read the purpose. Okay, so the application is requesting permission to rebuild and expand a legal non-compliant dwelling and attached uncovered deck which was destroyed by a fire. It is proposed to rebuild the structure with an increased building height, resulting in an increase in volume of the structure. Further, it is proposed to rebuild and expand the attached uncovered deck. The previously existing dwelling and attached uncovered deck was a non-compliant structure that did not meet the minimum required 30-meter setback from the high water mark of Charleston Lake and the minimum required 30-meter setback of the shoreline residential zone. The rebuild is proposed to encroach no further towards Charleston Lake than the established setback of previous existing structure.
Okay, next, Kyle, do you wish to give us your report and recommendations, please?
Thank you, Chair, through you. So as noted by Amanda, the applicants are requesting to expand a previously existing legal non-complying structure. The structure was destroyed by a fire and the property is currently vacant. The applicants are proposing to rebuild the structure with essentially the same ground floor area. They are proposing to increase the height of the structure and increase and attach the size of an attached deck. Ultimately, staff have reviewed the proposal against the applicable land use documents. Further, we have received comments from the CRCA which note no concerns. Additionally, the structure is proposed to be no closer to the water than the previously existing structure. So with all that in mind, staff have no concerns and recommend approval.
Thank you, Kyle. Amanda, any public comments?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections. And we received written public comments from Mike and Lori Boucard, neighbors, with no objections.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this application or even in our online?
No, I'm seeing no one in the audience and no one online looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, you want to discuss the application with the applicant?
I really have no questions or concerns at this time.
Catherine?
I have no concerns either.
Oh,
Yeah, no concerns.
Todd?
Similarly, no concerns, just, comment, reiterating, I think what the application says, which is it's no closer to the water, at all.
And I have no questions about it either, so. Would I need a motion now, I assume? You need a minute. Okay. I need a mover and a seconder to move this forward, that it be approved, subject to the conditions of the planner. Catherine?
I'll second Bruce.
And Bruce said. Okay. It's been moved by Catherine, seconded by Bruce, that application D13-2024-005 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of committee. All in favor?
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes.
Yes.
Todd, yes.
Yep, I am also carried. Okay, next on the agenda is D13-2024-006 90 Lindsay Lane. Amanda.
If anybody would like to come to the right of the horseshoe there. Okay, so I'll read the purpose. The application is requesting permission to expand an existing legal non-complying dwelling with an addition on the south and east sides of the existing structure. The addition on the south side coincides with the footprint of a portion of an existing attached deck that is proposed to be removed. The purpose of the addition on the east side of the dwelling is to facilitate an attached garage with living space above. The application also includes a request to increase the height of a portion of the proposed expand dwelling. The existing dwelling is a non-complying structure that does not meet the minimum setback from the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River and does not meet the minimum front yard setback of the shoreline residential zone. The existing dwelling is also considered legal non-complying with respect to its setback to the existing private right-of-way. The existing septic system is considered legal non-complying with respect to the minimum setback to the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River. 2 existing detached sheds are proposed to be removed. A new septic system is proposed for the property with a minimum setback of 14.3 meters from the high water mark of the adjacent water body. The application also includes proposed zoning relief for the maximum lot area provision of the shoreline residential zone.
Next, Lindsay, would you like to fill us in a little?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So this is a proposed permission application to expand the existing dwelling with a sunroom addition and a 2-story garage addition with living space on the second floor. And staff have found it to be consistent with the applicable land use policy documents of the township. Development is coming no closer to the St. Lawrence River and the private right-of-way than existing development. The proposed variance with respect to lot coverage and the setback of the proposed replacement septic system meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. No objections have been raised from the internal departments and external agencies circulated, including the Township Building Department and the CRCA. Concerns have been raised by the public with respect to the septic system. Staff are satisfied that there is sufficient area to install the system in a manner that meets the minimum distances to property lines, wells, and structures as prescribed by the Ontario Building Code, and also is located outside of the required setbacks from the erosion and flooding hazards that coincide with the property. There is an indication that the existing septic system has issues and is failing, and it's a system that doesn't meet the current requirements in terms of building code separations from the existing well on the property as well as the structures on the property. Staff view the new septic system as an improvement for the property. Distances to property lines, wells, and structures will be further verified through the building permit application should this application for permission be approved. Concerns were also noted with respect to whether there's sufficient area for parking on the property as a result of the application. In response, staff note that part of the proposed construction includes an attached 2-car garage, which satisfies the minimum requirement for off-street parking for the existing single detached dwelling use on the property. A shed on the northeast corner of the property is proposed to be removed as well, which provides additional area for parking outside of the right-of-way. In summary, staff have found that the application meets all the requirements in terms of the policy tests and represents good land use planning, and is recommended for approval subject to the conditions that staff have enclosed in the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Amanda, any public comments we've received?
Yes. We received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and we did receive written public comments. We have, and this is a summary, so we have comments from John Mills, a neighbor, expressing concerns with the measurements on the drawing, the method of calculation of the overall lot size, the need to show 2 parking spots not infringing on the right-of-way, and the distance of the proposed septic to the well. We received comments from Harry Schur, a neighbor, expressing concerns with the new septic system and potential contamination of it. or the existing septic system. We received comments from Chris and Lisa McCoy, the owners, in response to the public comments, advising that the garage will provide 2 additional spots, and with the removal of an existing shed, it will provide additional parking. The owners also reviewed the setback information and concerns for structures, well and septic, contamination from well and septic, and share right-of-way access concerns. We received follow-up comments from neighbor John Mills in response to the owner's follow-up and expressing concerns with the accuracy of the measurements, especially regarding the proximity of the well to the septic system and the condition of the groundwater. And that is all the public comments we have received.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in attendance in the audience that wishes to speak to it, to the application today? Committee members, do you want to speak to the applicant? Have any questions for him?
We're seeing no one in the audience and no one online.
My concerns reflect some of the neighbors' concerns regarding the well and septic. We're relying on the building department who look after the septic approvals now to ensure that there will be sufficient room to install the new system. But I understand that the existing well may be contaminated. I'm wondering if there's any way of addressing the contamination so that it doesn't contaminate the neighboring wells, and also would be to the applicant's, benefit. So I'm wondering, I understand that you have a blue light that helps your situation, but I wonder, do you expect, is there any way of expanding on that and shocking the well somehow to get rid of the contamination? Just a question.
Yes, we've got a UV light installed, and it's testing, just our drinking water's testing fine. We could shock the well if you wish, but with the neighboring operating farm that's roughly 300 feet away from us all, the concerns, I don't think we're going to do much about it. It's been there for 100 years, the farm working, so personally, I'm not too concerned about it. You say everyone puts the UV lights on these days. The distances that they're asking for, like Lindsay said, the building inspection are going to be inspecting it. The EcoFlow people that are guaranteeing the system for 15 years are going to be on site when we install it. So I think everything's going to be addressed as far as we can. Like I say, with a neighboring farm, operating farm right there, we can shock that well all we want, but give it another year and it's going to be back where it was. So.
Point taken. Thank you. No other questions.
I have no questions.
Paul?
Yeah, I have no concerns with this application.
Don?
No concerns, and just a comment that, the opportunity to improve a septic system that from site visit obviously appeared dated and not functioning properly. I think that's very much a positive to have an improved septic system.
Yes, we cambered the existing septic, and it's on borrowed time. Lindsay asked me to do that to confirm that the existing one wasn't really suitable for further use. So, so we're more than willing to forge ahead with the new septic system.
Yeah. Okay, my only comment is if you're replacing the septic system, it will be up to today's standards and that. So,
Yeah, definitely.
I have no problem. Okay, so we need a mover and a seconder to move this application along.
I can move.
Moved by
I'll
Todd,
second.
seconded by Paul. Moved by Todd, seconded by Paul, that application D13-2024-006 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. We're ready to vote.
Yep. Bruce is yes.
Catherine, yes.
Yes.
Todd, yes.
Yeah, I am also carried. Okay, next on our agenda is D13 2024 007 Island 108D. Amanda, would you like to give us your?
Yes. Okay. So the purpose, the subject property is zoned provincially significant wetland and the existing marine facility is a legal non-conforming use. The application is requesting permission to expand an existing marine facility, a dock to facilitate accessible vehicle use or vehicle access. The existing marine facility is subject to a previous permission application from 2014 that was approved by the Committee of Adjustment on December 22nd, 2015, and then an amended decision issued on March 29th, 2016. The previous application included the approval of the maximum area of the dock of 200.95 square meters. The intended build-out corresponding to the previous permission approval and the current application includes a marine facility comprised of both a dock and boathouse. Proposed total area is 235.9 square meters or 2,539.2 square feet.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Lindsay, would you give us your report, please?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So this application entails a small expansion of the existing legal non-conforming use and non-complying marine facility for the purpose of facilitating access to and from the dock by an accessible vehicle. The application's been reviewed to meet the policy tests for the expansion of a legal non-conforming use, non-complying structure. For the most recent Committee of Adjustment application in 2015, an environmental impact statement was completed and that was reviewed to the satisfaction of the CRCA, concluding no negative impacts to the wetland as a result of the proposed dock expansion at that time. No objections have been raised by the township departments and external agencies circulated on the application. To date, no comments have been received from the public. So in summary, staff recommend approval in accordance with the conditions enclosed with the staff report. And just as an aside, as an update, in May of this year, staff intend to initiate the zoning bylaw amendment to amend the township zoning bylaw to address minor projects to facilitate accessible renovations to properties so that they can proceed without the need for zoning relief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Amanda, any public comments?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections. We've not received any further public comment.
Thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this application or online?
No, we have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay.
The owner is here. Yes.
Oh, okay. Committee members.
I have no concerns or questions. It seems quite straightforward and I'm good with it. Thank you.
Yep, Catherine?
My only question was addressed by Lindsay about the accessibility requirement, so I have no concerns.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, I have no concerns.
Yep, Todd?
No, Lindsay answered my question around general accessibility application to bylaws, so I have no concerns or questions.
Yep, I'm right with you on that, so. Anyway, I need a mover and a seconder to move this along.
I'll second.
Who moved? Oh, Catherine and then Paul. Okay. So it's been moved by Paul's. Moved by Catherine, seconded by Paul that application D13 2024 007 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. Vote on it now.
Bruce is yes.
Catherine, yes?
Yes.
Todd, yes.
I'm also carried. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is application D13 2024 008 80 Club Island. Amanda, would you give us your part of it?
Yes, so the purpose, the property was the subject of minor variance permission application D13 2023-004, which was approved by the Committee of Adjustment at the September 26, 2023 meeting. The approval permitted a 49.1 square meter addition to the existing dwelling and the construction of 3 attached uncovered decks totaling 52.1 square meters. The proposal has since been altered prior to construction, and the applicant is seeking permission to further expand the area of the dwelling and attached decking, which requires approval from the committee. The application is requesting permission to permit the following deck additions to the existing non-complying dwelling: a proposed 42 square meter deck attached to the north side, and a 70.6 square meter deck and a 6.3 square meter deck landing attached to the south side. The application also includes a permission to expand the existing legal non-complying dwelling with a 54.6 square meter addition to the northeast side of the structure. The existing dwelling is a non-complying structure that does not meet the minimum setback from the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River and does not meet the minimum front yard setback of the island residential zone.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Carl, would you like to give us your report, please?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted by Amanda, this application is requesting permission for the expansion of a legal non-complying structure. So as some of you will remember, the applicants did come forward in September of last year, requesting some expansions to the existing dwelling. According to the applicant, the architect and designer associated with the project had submitted drawings and figures which didn't represent what the applicants were trying to achieve. As such, they have submitted an updated proposal with further expanded deck additions and an addition to the dwelling. Ultimately, staff have circulated this proposal to internally as well as externally to the Conservation Authority, who have noted no concerns. Staff have reviewed this proposal against the applicable land use documents and ultimately note no concerns. With that said, we would recommend approval subject to the conditions contained herein. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Amanda, any public comments?
Yes. We received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and we received comments from Jennifer and Charles Wilson, neighbors, with no objections.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this application or online?
No, we have no one in the audience and no one online looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, do you want to start with you, Bruce? Any questions to the applicant?
I have no questions or concerns.
Catherine?
I have no concerns being firsthand familiar with the property. I just would make the comment that it would be helpful on island properties or water access properties at this time of year if we could possibly have a video, even for those of us who are familiar with the property already. It really brings things to a good relief. So
But just so we're clear, there, when you came to the property, the staking was all the same. It was the company that we trusted to fill out the application put the wrong numbers in it. That's what it comes down to. And we're another $850 and here we are again.
thanks very much for the clarification. So I have no concerns, just a comment.
Thank you. Paul?
Thanks.
Yeah, no concerns.
Todd?
I wasn't here for the original application, so just making sure I'm reading correctly.
Mhm.
Nothing's any closer to the water
No,
than
no,
previously.
it
That's
was-
how I
yeah.
read it.
It was
Great.
literally what was put on the application.
Thank you.
No, and I saw it last fall, so I have no concerns either.
Mm.
Oh, we need a mover and a seconder to move this application along.
I can move.
Moved by
Bruce will
Todd,
second.
seconded by Bruce. Okay, moved by Todd, seconded by Bruce, that application D13 2024 008 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. So we're ready to vote. Bruce?
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And I am also carried.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is D 13-2024-009-131 1000 Island Parkway. Amanda.
If the owner would like to come forward, we can discuss the application. So the purpose of the application is requesting zoning relief from zoning bylaw 07079 through a minor variance application to facilitate a new dwelling and the relocation of existing garage and sleeping cabin. The proposal includes relief from the minimum interior side yard requirements for both a garage and sleeping cabin proposed for relocation. With respect to the proposed dwelling, the proposal is requesting zoning relief from the minimum front yard requirement of the shoreline residential zone, minimum setback from the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River, and minimum setback from a right-of-way.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Lindsay, could you want to give us your report and recommendations, please?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted by Amanda, the application consists of a request for zoning relief through a minor variance application for a new dwelling and the relocation of a detached garage and sleeping cabin. The owners worked through many constraints on the property to develop with the proposed concept in a manner that's consistent with the built form of the area and does not generate any land use incompatibilities. The St. Lawrence Parks Commission required a 45-meter setback for the sleeping cabin, and the proposal adheres to this requirement. The Township's Fire Department has reviewed the proposed 3-meter setback for the dwelling from Gray's Lane and has concluded that there are no concerns from an emergency response perspective. The staff note that there are 2 access points for Gray's Lane from the from the Thousand Islands Parkway. The 3-meter setback maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw in terms of providing sufficient area for the length of Gray's Lane that traverses the property and maintaining functional access for vehicles and for maintenance of the private right-of-way. The CRCA has reviewed the proposal and has advised of no concerns from natural hazards perspective. Privacy concerns were noted with respect to the proposed interior side yard setback for the relocated sleeping cabin. In response, staff note that there is an existing metal fence and vegetation along a portion of the 2 properties. Between the sleeping cabin and the dwelling on the neighboring property, there is a driveway, and the dwelling set back approximately 21 meters from the sleeping cabin. The adjacent property is zoned tourist commercial, which doesn't generate the same level of concerns in terms of privacy as a property zoned residentially. The sleeping cabin is less than 5 meters in height as required by zoning, and the elevation facing the adjacent property doesn't contain any windows. So there are no concerns with respect to potential for intrusive overlook. The proposed setback matches or is greater than existing and previous buildings located along the eastern property line. In summary, staff have concluded that the proposal makes efficient use of an underutilized property, doesn't generate any undue adverse impacts, and represents good land use planning. And staff recommend approval in accordance with the recommendations enclosed with the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Any public comments, Amanda?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and we received written public comments from Lance Gow, a neighbor, advising that he's not opposed to the development, but expressed concerns with the 3-meter setback from Gray's Lane right-of-way, citing the significant impact on access for emergency vehicles, concerns with navigation, safety, and sightline issues for vehicles. Mr. Gow also expressed concerns with the 1-meter setback for the relocated sleeping cabin as being too close to the property line, driveway, and privacy concerns. Mr. Gao requests that the decision be deferred until the ongoing property dispute between himself and the neighbor is resolved. And that is all the written public comments we have received to date.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this application? Yeah, you come up to the podium on, yes, it'd be on your left. No. No, if you come to the podium, there's a microphone there. Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Gao asked that I attend on his behalf. He's in Toronto.
Okay.
Mr. Gao gives two pictures, and Mr. Brown, who's also here.
Sorry, we just need your name for the public record.
Sorry, it's Matthew Wright. I'm here for Mr. Gao. I'm going to pass two pictures up to council. Mr. Brown is here with me, and he's the previous owner of Mr. Gao's property. He can speak to the history of the property, the subject property also. The issue with the fence is that since the applicant purchased the subject property, he's moved the fence line. Now he's proposing to move a bunkie up next to that fence line, and he's seeking your permission for a minor variance. The other concern we have at Grays Lane is a dirt road that is accessible from two points of access. The planner is quite right about that. The proposal, and I've just gone down with Mr. Brown to take a look at the subject property and the area around there, will move the proposed building close to that, close to Grays Lane. If the township ever proposes to assume that road as part of the municipal network, I think this variance is going to prevent that. I'm not sure if the emergency services had an opportunity to take a close look at the elbow that's that laneway, but it is a hard turn for a big fire truck, I estimate. And the concern that there are 4 or 5 other properties down Grays Lane that might be affected by restricting the access along that laneway. Mr. Brown's going to be able to speak to, I understand there's another application further down seeking similar relief. And I understand the Committee of Adjustments has refused permission to those minor variances. And Mr. Brown can speak to that. He can also speak to the fact that the subject property, the building that existed there previously, was smaller than what's being proposed today. So I think I'll invite Mr. Brown to come up and speak now.
Yes, I have a number of concerns that Mr. Gao has asked me to bring to the board. Let's talk first about the sleeping cabin. Right now, it's a fair distance away from the lot line. If it's brought to 1 meter from the lot line, that gets awful close to the property that Mr. Gao is residing in right now. And the other thing we wonder, what is going to be the future use of the sleeping cabin? Will it be used for rental like he's trying to do on the commercial property that he owns next door? The other thing, there's already a garage tight to that line, which I understand they're trying to move again too close to the opposite side. In other words, they're taking the garage from the east side on the lot line, moving over to the west side lot line, but still non-compliance. It's going to be further away, or closer to the lot line than what it is now. Will the guest house, will it have a bathroom and kitchen? Like what extent is it going to be used? Is it a sleeping cabin or is it actually accommodations? The main house that he's proposing is totally non-compliant. It's non-compliant to the right-of-way. It's non-compliant to the setback from the river. It also has a 2-car garage. So now we're going to have a house with a 2-car attached garage and a 1-car detached garage, another place on the lot, as well as a guest cabin, as well as a storage cabin. So we got a nice little setup of 5 different buildings. I also noticed there's a houseboat on the lot, So I don't know if that's gonna be for rental or what, spots that's gonna fill in as well. So we're just wondering, is this gonna be turned into a non-compliance commercial property down the road? Like what's taking place here? It seems like there's so much things that are out of, line with what's going on.
I'm going to hand part of that right now to Lindsay. Have you anything you'd like to say to that? Like he's saying that the lot line isn't right and stuff, so the township must have checked some of this, I'm sure.
Well, there is a dispute over the lot line on the, which really amazed me because I put the fence in, I think it was 1990, quite a while ago. And I was watched as every postman of the fence by the next door neighbor. And then this gentleman comes along and rips it out and moves the fence 2 years after I sold it to Lance. And that dispute has never been settled. So you have a lot line they're trying to move something a meter away from that's in dispute. You don't even know where it is yet. So I'm saying you got to settle some of this stuff before you actually approve it, I think anyway.
Does the township have any knowledge of any of that? Lindsay?
Thank you.
Would be my question.
Through you, Chair. It's staff's understanding that the crux of the dispute between the two property owners, and the applicant can also weigh in on this as well, relates to the area outside of where buildings are proposed and in terms of along the shoreline, where there's an existing dock for 133 Thousand Islands Parkway. And so in review of that, staff have concluded that the proposed structures, that the relocated structures and the proposed dwelling don't really coincide with the ongoing property dispute. And we're felt comfortable proceeding with the recommendation for this application. If I may just speak to other concerns that have been raised as well. Emergency Services did conduct a site visit as part of their review of the application, and they noted that as a standard course of practice that they would bring water in response to an emergency in that area via the Thousand Islands Parkway or the portion of Gray's Lane that's perpendicular to the Thousand Islands Parkway. That's where they would set up to have water to respond to an emergency situation in that area. There's been concerns around non-compliance, but the whole purpose of why we're here today is to review proposed relief from the zoning bylaw and to seek approval for those items of relief, and concluding that they meet the 4 tests of a minor variance. So that's part of the Planning Act, that's part of the planning process, is to evaluate these proposed requests for relief and to determine if they're suitable and appropriate for the property. With respect to the sleeping cabin, the use of the property as a short-term rental doesn't intersect the zoning bylaw whatsoever, so it's not part of the consideration today in terms of the proposed development and the relief that the applicant's seeking. We don't have any information to confirm that that's the applicant's intent, and that the applicant can speak to that as well. And the sleeping cabin would be required to meet the zoning bylaw in terms of it's permitted to have washroom facilities, but not a kitchen within it. And I think that addresses the concerns that I've heard so far. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Lindsay. That answered my questions. I'm going to start with Bruce. If you have questions for the
A
applicant.
question for the applicant, just to touch on Lindsay's comments regarding the kitchen. Does the sleeping cabin at this time contain a kitchen?
No, no, it doesn't.
Okay, at this point, I have no other questions. Thank you.
I have no questions.
Paul.
Yeah, nor do I.
No, I don't have any questions, Lindsay. Again, thank you. You've answered anything that was going through my mind as we were receiving the submissions, so I appreciate it.
If there's anybody online that wanted to speak, if you could raise your hand again. I thought I saw a hand up. Now's your opportunity if you'd like to speak. Yeah, because I was pretty sure the hand was up. 1 second, we'll just allow them to speak. Mr. Gao, if you'd like to speak, you are permitted
Yes.
right now.
Actually, my lawyer and my previous owner has part of for me. I would like to speak something else here. Okay, regarding to 7 meters setback and the proposed of 3 meters setback, there's a 4 meter reduced from the zoning bylaw. And as you know, the Grace Lane from Parkway to my parking lot is around 100 meters long. It's very narrow, but it's very long. And there's a slope, there's a gravel surface, there's a tree on the both sides. So each time when I park the car to go to Parkway, I always park the car and turn into the right of way. That's 90-degree variance. So if the 3 meter setback be approved, that's make we very difficult, to be very, very careful each time when we back out the car. And then it could cost the damage, because those kind of road, the slope, gravel and trees. So I also, if there's 2 cars come from the laneway and go to Dowden Island Parkway. If 2 cars pass each other, they even right now, a lot of times they will drive over the right of way to either's property, either my property or Mr. Thompson's property. So the setback, if setback reduced to 3 meters, is really cost the trouble to the neighbors. And then second thing is the talking about boundary dispute. I moved in, I think in 2018, and I enjoyed the beautiful house, waterfront house, for only 2 years until Mr. Thompson came in and he tore down the fence and pushed the fence to my side. And then at the time, I think, I try to be nice to all the neighbors. And then once he pushed in, the fence is shaking. He did not secure it. So I said, okay, whatever you want to do that. Okay, I to hire somebody to secure the fence. And then he come up next. They said, okay, the your security is not right. Even in the back fence, even your dog is all not right. You need to take it down again. At the time, I have no choice. I have to call the police to stop and hire a lawyer, because OPP asked me those kind of matter, you have to hire a lawyer to deal with. And then I hired a lawyer. The lawyer sent a letter to him, also to the town, and tell them this our position is a textbook says you cannot do this. You have to put back the fence. And then from there on, he just ignored it. The dispute is still there. So police being called 2 times. If town is going to prove that, I think this dispute will go to worse. I don't know what's happening is going on afterwards. So I think it's better to to be peaceful to the neighbors. I think town should hold this application before dispute being resolved. We don't want to get things go any worse from now. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Catherine.
I have a question. I'll address it initially to the senior planner. Is there a survey of these properties? If we're talking about a boundary.
Through you, Chair, yes, staff did locate a survey as part of our review of the application and being comfortable in moving forward with the recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You wish to speak again?
Sorry, you'll have to speak into the microphone.
Committee, to my knowledge, the only survey is the survey registered on title from 2018. There's no site survey that's been done to plot where these buildings are going to be and how close they are to the boundary line. There's certainly none in circulation since the filing of this application. And to my knowledge, I haven't seen anything handed to the planning department in that regard.
Okay, thank you. I think I'd like to make a statement now. The property disputes have nothing to do with the Committee of Adjustment. We're here for where buildings are located on a lot, and do they meet the 4 criteria, which they, in this case, our planning department says they have. I'd just like you gentlemen to know, I mean, we're glad to hear from you on that, but the part you're bringing up, I don't think has a whole lot to do with the Committee of Adjustment. I just want to say that.
Sorry, can I just ask one more?
Sure, Tom,
question?
go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Chair of the Planning Department. There was a comment made earlier by one of these gentlemen, I'm not sure which one, sorry, but around lot coverage percentages or something of that nature. And if I just want to make sure I didn't miss it when you were presenting, that it's compliant with whatever coverage percentages are needed.
Through you, Chair, yes, staff reviewed the proposal in terms of zoning compliance, and lot coverage is compliant, and therefore it's not part of the application.
Thank you very much.
Good. Thanks, Todd. Sir, while we're going through, anything else? Bruce, anybody?
Just a quick last question regarding the placement of the sleeping cabin. Is it on the boundary line that's in dispute?
No.
Can't be both.
Yeah, okay. I can sort of explain, when we purchased the property, it had gone through the high water of 2017 and 2019, when I believe Mr. Brown owned it. At that time, his dock was destroyed. His deck that he had built to the dock was destroyed. It was noted on the land survey that was given to Mr. Gao in 2018 that either Mr. Gao asked for or Mr. Brown asked for, that at that time, the deck and the fence was encroaching on our property. But when the high water destroyed the deck, it left the far end of the fence just dangling and blowing in the wind. So whenever we engaged Hydro One to come and do their survey in order to move the utility lines, it was at that time that Hydro did the survey all the way down the fence to the bend, which is after the sleeping cabin. And from the bend to where the deck was, is where the fence was out of alignment with what the property line should have been. And, but so at that time, I basically, whenever they say that I moved the fence and everything like that, all I did was take the one end, move it up so it wasn't dangling to break, put a rock on each side of it. It still wasn't lined up with the property line. Like my understanding with Mr. Gao is that we would work on that. I was even willing to like get it all lined up, do all the repairs, get the fence nice. And then I came one day and Mr. Gao had already had a contractor in, and he is the one that cemented the posts in place. It's still encroaching on our property. But at the time that he then engaged his lawyer, sent a letter, and everything went off the rails, which was in 2019, July 9th, or sorry, 2021, July. Mr. Gao and I've never heard Mr. Gao's voice until right now. Like my wife and I, as soon as we got this, we said, like, we got to deal with the utilities. We got to deal with the St. Lawrence Parks. We got to deal with the Conservation Authority. We have a lot of approvals to get, let alone worry about Lance and his 2-foot fence. And so the answer to the question about the sleeping cabin, that portion of the fence was never moved. It was totally surveyed on the line. That part of the fence is totally fine.
Thank you, because I'm a little uneasy in approving something placement of a sleeping cabin within a meter of a property line that's in dispute, so you can understand that.
Right. No, and I agree. So one of the things I did whenever I had received the objection from Mr. Gao and his representatives, I did make a little sketch if you want to see it, but that sleeping cabin is allowed on that portion of the property. And I believe the side yard setback is 3 meters. So if we were to locate it at 3 meters, it actually makes a couple of things worse. One of the things Mr. Gao doesn't want is us seeing in his property. Well, right now, the way we have it angled, we're facing away from him. Like, believe me, we don't want to see him any more than he wants to see us. And the front of the sleeping cabin that might be of more concern because there's no windows on the side is actually 5 meters from the property line because it is angled. And the other beautiful thing about being angled, it helps CRCA. They had asked that somewhere there'd be a 6-meter access lane for any future emergency vehicles. And that, by angling it just a bit where the back corner moves 1 meter away, it allows that for that 6 meters. Whereas right now we have a 20-foot garage that's like 6 inches off the property line for 20 feet. All we're asking for now is 1/4 or 1 corner to be 1 meter away. And the whole rest of the sleeping cabin is 3 meters or beyond and not facing his property.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anyone else have any more questions? No? Okay. So, are we ready to go ahead? Yep. We need a mover and a seconder. This application. Yeah, that application D13-2024-009 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. Mover and a second, moved by Catherine.
Second.
Seconded by Todd. A lot of duplication here. So been moved by Catherine, seconded by Todd, that application D13-2024-009 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee.
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes.
Yes.
Todd, yes.
And I am also carried. No, I don't.
Could I just ask one question? Like,
Sure.
just because I'm not totally aware of what the process is, does that mean that it is approved, or is there any condition of approval, or?
There's a 20-day appeal period, which will begin tomorrow. Think the last day is April 15th.
Okay.
So during that portion of time, we just have to wait. So they can't issue any permits or anything during that time frame.
No. Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, last but not least is D13-2024-010-855 Coyote Lane.
All right, so the purpose, the application is requesting a minor variance to legalize the construction of a single detached dwelling, which is 12.2 meters in height. The maximum permitted height for a single detached dwelling in the rural zone is 12 meters. The dwelling has a ground floor area of 180.6 square meters.
Kyle.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted, this application is a minor variance for the construction of a dwelling which is larger than the permitted 12-meter height maximum. So how this one came about, ultimately, the building permit was submitted and circulated to staff. Ultimately, it was noted that there were no concerns with it. The structure was erected, and when building staff were completing their inspections, it was noted that the structure appeared to be larger than what would be permitted. At that time, it was flagged that a variance may be required. The applicant submitted for pre-consultation, and it was confirmed that the structure was larger than what would be permitted. Ultimately, staff have no concerns. Very straightforward request. We have reviewed the application against the applicable land use documents. We have received no comments of concern from internal or external agencies. As such, we would recommend approval subject to the conditions contained in the report.
Amanda, any public comments?
Yes, yep, received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and we received no further written public comments.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this or online?
We have no members of the public online or in the audience looking to speak to the application.
I don't think the owner is here, but anyway.
The owner and the agent are online.
Oh,
if you have questions.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start with you, Bruce.
When one, and I'm addressing this to Kyle, when one hears that a building or structure is larger than allowed, one thinks of the footprint, but my understanding, this building is about 7 inches taller. Is that right?
Yeah, sorry, that is what the variance is for. It's for the height. It has nothing to do with the size of the structure. It's simply the height. So the maximum permitted height is 12 meters. This structure from lowest grade to highest peak is 12.2 meters. It's my understanding that the change in height is largely due to concerns that were sort of ran into on site regarding the foundation. I believe some tweaks had to be made to the foundation plan, thus sort of adding some additional height to the structure. That's my understanding of sort of why the height increase came about. But yeah, Bruce, that is correct. It's entirely for the height.
Yeah, it looks like I'm looking at a photograph of the building, and the end of the basement that has the man door. In a lot of circumstances, that would be considered the basement, because of the the drive up at the front is one level higher. So I'm hard to get my head wrapped around that we're taking the measurements from the basement floor, I guess.
Yeah, so the zoning bylaw reads lowest grade to highest peak. So we have run into this in the past, and it largely comes down to sort of the existing topography. So the house was built on a hill, so you do have that, like you said, that face, which is a garage door, which, if the hill weren't there, it largely would, in most builds be considered a basement. But, how the zoning bylaw reads is it's lowest grade to highest peak. In this case, the lowest grade would be sort of, the piece that you identified along the side.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Catherine.
I confess this is one where I'm shaking my head, but I have no questions.
No. Oh,
Yeah, well, obviously no concern on this one.
None here.
no, I don't either. I kind of wondered when I went out there and looked at it, what a load of gravel in front of that would have been to bring it up 8 inches, I think, and measure it again. Would have been a country way of doing it. Okay, we need a mover and a seconder to start this long.
Bruce will move.
Moved by Bruce, seconded by Paul. Okay, then moved by Bruce, seconded by Paul, that application D13 2024-010 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. We're ready to vote.
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes.
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 And I am also unanimous, carried. That one. I'd still like to know who found it. Wait. No, I have no idea what that is. I think I can, I don't think they need it back.
Okay, so we have one matter left to discuss,
We do.
and that is the insurance for committee members. So Marnie, gave me a quick heads up yesterday, so, unfortunately she's not able to be here today, but she said technically, so you're covered under the township liability, which the example that she gave me. So if you were to drive into a garage, we pay to fix the garage, but you have to fix your cars. So your personal liability for your vehicles, but if something happened and you did damage public property, we will cover that. That comes under our insurance. Any questions?
I guess, council members, if they drive into somebody's garage, does the township cover the car and the garage, or?
I don't know. I would assume it would be the same for them, where it would be, we would cover that, but not yours. Like, I think that would kind of be like if staff were to take our own personal vehicles on site, the township would pay if we damage something, but they're not going to cover the repairs to our vehicles. So
When I brought
but
up.
we can
this
double
item-
check.
Man, when I brought this item up, brought it forward, I was thinking more of personal liability. You know, we're out on boats and accidents happen, and they have happened. So I'm just thinking of personal injury and loss of life, not considering vehicles.
Okay, I can bring that up to Marnie.
All right, I'm very new to this discussion, obviously, but when I first saw it on the agenda, I went to professional liability and good faith decisions as a member of the Committee of Adjustment, et cetera. So I don't know if there's any opportunity, if that's been reviewed before, or if it's an extension of council, or what that's sort of where my head went, though I have no plans to fall out of a boat, hopefully.
Another add to this is the reason I brought it forward to, and I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if Todd, you were on board at the time, that I was at a meeting with neighboring township, Front of Young, and they were going to be starting a new committee of council, which I was going to be a member of. And the mayor there at the time told me and the rest of us at the meeting that all of their committees of council are covered by insurance. And so I'm thinking if they can, a little township like that, I'm wondering, why, we can't.
Have I got this right, Bruce? Like you're thinking more if one of us fell and got hurt or, yeah, that's what I would be thinking more. Yeah, Todd.
Sorry, I was thinking more, someone disagrees and, files suit for some sort of pecuniary damages or something of that nature. So, and again, to your comment, Bruce,
It was my suggestion initially that this township contact Front of Young and see what they do and what it covers. I'd like to know if that was done.
And if they did or not, you don't.
I do not know. I'm hoping Marnie will be able to attend our next meeting to discuss, because like I said, that was just what she let me know yesterday because she wasn't available today. So I will bring this back. We can table the discussion. I'll keep it on the agenda for next month.
Like we are a volunteer pretty well, just mileage and I would have to say sometimes they've been going pretty good the last couple of years, but sometimes it runs into a lot of time and that's fine, but I think we shouldn't be liable if we did. Like we've been in some pretty rough places. Remember trying to walk around that ABC aisle there, Bruce, that time, make a wrong move and you'd have a broken leg. And I kind of hate to think if they just said, well, sorry, we'll help get you to a doctor maybe. Like really, if we were on a job site working for anybody else, you'd have some coverage. I mean, we've been very, very fortunate other than Another former burner got drowned, but I yanked him out from under it. Just minor stuff like that. So anyways,
Perfect. Well, I can definitely bring it. Oh, go ahead, Catherine.
yep.
So, having been recently hit by a flower dolly, and I understand the importance of the discussion,
Yeah.
which, is still under litigation actually, but I also think it's important that we acknowledge that it's really important that we do these site visits, because otherwise we're the blind leading the blind. And so I think it's very important that the site visits continue. I'm aware of some municipalities where members of the community adjustment are not permitted to do site visits. So,
What would be the point of having a committee?
well, so that the blind can lead the blind.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to put that on the table.
And I'll fully support that. The two of the applications that were in today, the one on Lindsay and the one on the second last one, sorry, that
Yep.
we did. Without having a site visit would have been much more challenging to orient oneself to the
You're just making a
location,
guess.
angles, other factors that were raised today. So I would fully support that, Catherine, that I think they're invaluable.
That being said, I think Bruce had backed me up on this. That was a little more like what we've had over the past dozen years or so, like, and I just wanted to bring it out. The property dispute has nothing to do with the Committee of Adjustment. As long as, and I hope I didn't mean to put you on a hot spot, Lindsay, but that it met all the township's criteria. Whether they're arguing about a property line has nothing to do with it. So, thank you, Lindsay, for kind of clearing that up, because we was kind of making it sound like the one was right on the lot line and all that. Yeah. Okay, do we need a motion to adjourn? Or have you got some more stuff there, girl?
No, that's it for today, but we can adjourn because the next part is about eScribe, which if any of you have questions or if you've brought anything, then we can take a look at it. And we can go over that, but that's outside the meeting. So we will do the motion to adjourn and then I have to click some stuff. So
That's
nope.
not it.
Okay, so mover and second.
I need a mover and a seconder to adjourn, folks. Moved by Catherine. Seconded by Todd. All in favor?
Nope, you gotta read it.
All. Anyway, been moved by Catherine, seconded by Todd. The Committee of Adjustment will adjourn to meet it again at the call of our Secretary Treasurer. All in favor?
Bruce, yes.
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 Carried, unanimous.
Thank you, everyone.